Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I'll call back into open session this meeting of the Arlington Independent School District Board of Trustees for April 5th at 7:12 p.m. Thank you all for coming out to be with us tonight. We'll start our meeting with the opening ceremony with Mr. Jimmy Walker. Please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you. And if you would silence your cell phones and electronic devices, and in a moment I'll ask you to join me in a moment of silence. And if you would please keep in mind all of our residents who had severe property damage from the storms in the local area and surrounding cities. And we'll do more later on that. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. First item on our agenda is programs and presentations. Arlington Human Services before and after school program. Mr. McCullough.
Thank you, President Barron. This is a report that we receive every year, and it's a United Way report, and we have many services with United Way, and tonight that report is going to be Cynthia Jensen is here with us, and I think someone from the Boys and Girls Club and YMCA. I didn't see a badge, so I was looking. So okay, YMCA. Cynthia, so.
Thank you, and good evening, President Barron and members of the school board and Superintendent McCullough and other AISD staff. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for caring about what we're now referring to as out-of-school time, or OST, a different way of thinking about after-school programming that care for children anytime they're not in school. With me tonight is Beth LaCroix from the YMCA of Arlington, James Hitchcock from the Boys and Girls Club. If you ask me anything specific about the after-school programs, I've got my folks here to back me up. I'll say that the report that we provide to you every year this year includes some information about outcomes or program quality that's measured. Tonight, in my short time, I'm going to focus more on quantity and give you some more about the numbers themselves. And to start with, you can see the numbers of children, almost 4,000 served, and these are the traditional on-campus after-school programs provided by YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, Girls Inc., and in some cases the Parks and Rec Department, where children end the school day and then check into one of these programs, typically in a cafeteria or in a gymnasium or a portable building. Something to note is that this number, 3814, is up 750 from last year. So that's a pretty good increase. And the scholarship number of 1154 is also up significantly, almost half. That's up from 782 last year, so a jump there in the number of children who are seeking scholarships in these after schools. Means after the programs have to pay 100%. Average attendance is just down a little bit, so you could say that more children are attending these school campus-based programs, but maybe not every single day. For the off-campus programs, and these are for children who leave school at the end of the day and either walk or take some sort of transportation to a branch site or another location where they're provided secure after-school services. And this one is pretty significant. Attendance in these programs at about 3,500 is down 1,100 from last year. And that's a really big jump. In conferring with my colleagues, you know, certainly one possible reason could have to do with just economics, people being less sure about having their children transported off-site, or even or programs unable to transport children because of gas prices and so forth. So there's that of note. And you know, these after-school providers, or OST providers, they play an important role in the continuum of services for children throughout the day. And you know that they're more than just babysitters. Their aim is to continue the academic day, add some enrichment activities, and they've shared some information here about how they have to maintain standards and licensing. And they have also asked me to share with you some of their recommendations that these are recommendations that I'm really lifting up on behalf of these providers. And while some progress has made in these particular areas, there's still some more improvement we see needed, having to do with a lot of it around communication issues, sharing of calendars, sharing of information where possible around issues of children who are in special needs programs, and the opportunity to share in training where possible. And just a note that they appreciate your support with making sure that they have the minimum space requirements needed and are able to store information on site where appropriate, and just continue the two-way flow of information. It would be helpful for the after-school providers perhaps at some point to maybe even meet with principals as a group to talk about some of the issues that they face in putting these programs on campuses. And just a quick note to mention that the 21st Century grant coming to an end, I think, next year, although I think an application has been made for renewal, has an interesting part to play in this after-school time. In some cases, our providers themselves are providing the services as contractors. Anxious to see how that's going to come out, and just to say that, you know, we continue to have some elementary schools, about 6 right now, that have no after-school care programs. So we're concerned about those, concerned about how we're going to fund getting programs in these after-school care programs, in these elementary school programs. I've just been given a brief amount of time, like I said, but I'll be happy to try to take any questions if possible.
Thank you. Other board members with questions? Dr. Reich.
Thank you, President Barron. Thank you for giving us this report and the feedback. Just one question on the transition, or the difference on the on-campus after-school care and the off-campus. Is there any possibility on that decrease of off-campus that maybe they've transitioned to an on-campus program?
Well, it's possible, because that number went up 750. Right. So there is that. Part of it is off-campus programs, particularly where, say, Boys and Girls Club provides transportation and they go to several schools. There has to be a certain number of students that are even attending the program to make them qualify. So there have been some schools that have been dropped off the transportation pickup list. So that also is coming into play.
Okay. Okay. And then this, I think, maybe is more of a question for our superintendent. On the recommendations that they've brought forth, is there a certain department or a number of departments that they would interface with to try to work out those communication issues, or how does that work?
Well, the sharing of calendars of what and when particular curricular elements are being addressed, this would come through the curriculum department, because
Okay.
We do have a timeline as far as when, you know, certain areas of the curriculum are being taught, and so that's a matter of just visiting with each other. There is a window there that schools can be in, but and then on coordination of services, that's in the special education department, and what we can share there, that would be we can share. And then the participation in ISD training, where appropriate, that would come through Dr. Cavassos' area too. I don't see any huge problems here. It's just a matter of sharing information. And
Okay.
but special needs, I mean, there are some laws that we would have to be very careful there.
Sure.
But the training, that's very possible.
Okay, that's great. And it's just such a great service that you provide, and thank you so very much. It's, I believe, a growing need of population, so my hat's off to everything that you guys do for our youth. Thank you very much for it.
Mr. Hawk.
Thank you, President Barron. Ms. Jensen and all the board, they hear me talk about United Way enough up here, being on the board and chair of United Way Arlington. So first off, I thank you and everyone out there for everything you do. This comes back to United Way never handles all the glamorous pieces in the community. They kind of handle the nasty pieces no one likes to look at of health and human service issues. And I think this comes up to that point of we're not the only ones educating students. Our partner organizations are the ones doing it after school. You'll constantly hear, and Ms. Jensen, I have to thank you for making recommendations. There's a lot of times we get reports up here from community groups and there aren't recommendations of what we need to do better. We're never going to do everything right. We're going to try, but it's not going to happen. So I appreciate the recommendations. And Superintendent McCullough, I really appreciate you saying you think they can take them in. And communication is always a tough thing. I think it's the constant battle of any organization. I don't care what your size is or what you're doing. So I look at these and I say, just on behalf of United Way, to the rest of my colleagues on the board and to my United Way partner groups out there, thank you. Thank you for all your work, and thank you for educating students. And we talk a lot up here about vertical alignment. I think this is just one more element of that vertical alignment of what we're doing and how we vertically align, not only from elementary to junior high to high school, but how we're vertically aligning them and having these pretty much free teachers for us after school teach the kids more, because there's many hours they spend outside of school that's as important as when they spend in school. So I just had to take that moment and say thank you.
That's it. Thank you, Ms. Jensen. We surely appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is the Education Foundation presentation. Mr. McCullough.
Thank you, President Barron. The Arlington Independent School District's Education Foundation, the CEO of that is Kathy Jackson. And you've got some supporters here with you, so yeah.
Good evening, President Barron, board members, Superintendent McCullough. My name is Elizabeth Banda Calvo, and I'm a partner with the Arlington firm of Purdue, Brandon, Filler, Collins, and Mott, and I'm the president of the Education Foundation. And we've got some good news to share with you this evening, and we hope you're as excited as we are. Woohoo! I wanted to tell you a little bit about what the foundation does. Our sole purpose is to secure valuable resources for the students of AISD, and we take very seriously our charge to help our educators meet their campus needs, and we're committed to improving public education in Arlington and improving the continued success of the Arlington ISD students. This school year, we funded over $73,000 in grants and resources to AISD, and with this spring's grant giving of over $44,000, we are pleased to announce that we have reached a significant milestone. We have officially funded over $1 million in grants and resources to the AISD. 1 million and counting. We're not stopping there. As the district completes its strategic plan, we look forward to working very closely to help the district make that plan a success. And with that, I will then leave it over to Kathy Jackson to talk to you a little bit about what we do with the grants.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to do the show and tell part. So you can see what happens in a classroom with some of the dollars that we have. We especially want to focus on what's in place right now and for the school year. Before we get to that, I did want to tell you that we work with many, many community organizations, and without them, we wouldn't have the funds and we wouldn't have the people to help this go on. Two groups that we've put together a wonderful collaborative partnership with are General Motors, and that's an Earth Force partner. It's working with River Legacy, there you go, River Legacy. And our second one is a wonderful new opportunity with J.K. Livin Foundation, Matthew McConaughey, and the Texas Rangers Foundation. We're very pleased at the results that's having at Sam Houston and look forward to a long relationship with both of them. Here's a great photo that you might have seen before. Last year, a very creative teacher with avid students at Lamar High School decided he would take them camping. So I called to make sure he knew what that meant, overnight camping. And he had wonderful results with these students, giving them an opportunity outside of class like that. They incorporated it. It was a multi-subject curriculum involved in it. They developed a sense of responsibility about themselves they didn't have. And at the end of the year, that group got over $350,000 worth of scholarships. At the elementary level, this was a creative approach. They were teaching the kids to count with drums. So that was somebody that had the patience and tenacity to listen to that. Our next slide is just showing, it was an after-school program, and the teacher helped build racing cars, putting in some science, math, and curriculum development with that. This year, that same teacher is getting a grant to help unmanned aerial flight. At Goodman Elementary, we went, well, they had many, many animals in that classroom when we delivered this grant. Too many fuzzy spiders for me. But the teacher was so committed to her classroom. She had something for all of them to experience. We brought many sources into that classroom to help students who were ESL, just new to learning, new to a sit-down environment, and she did a wonderful job with them. So we're very excited at how that works. This year, one school, Amos Elementary, got their very first grant. So from our beginnings in 1994, that school got their very first grant, and they asked for books. So we were delighted to help their library. Just wanted to let you know that we're going to continue to work with our teachers in the classrooms to help them secure additional resources that, you know, are not possible with a normal operating budget. We've seen how wonderful the results can be when the teachers get to implement extra funds like that, whether it's an after-school program or something that's campus-wide, like we've had teacher training programs put in for this year. So we wanted to share that with you. We want you to know that you're putting together this wonderful strategic plan that we're looking forward to working with. We want to make sure that that's successful for the students of our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members with comments or questions? Thank you very much.
We couldn't find real $1 million or $1 million candy, so we turned $100 grand into $1 million bar, and we're going to share that with everybody. So thank you.
Everybody.
Yeah, stuff, chocolate to help you make it through the holiday. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Could you please introduce the other members of the foundation that are here for us to be recognized?
Sure, we've got Ann Morris, we've got Adele Sharp-Jenkins, and we have Michael Jarrett with us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And we have some for the audience also.
All right.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is administrative appointments. We have none, and public hearing, and we also have no public hearing. We have no cards for the open forum, so it takes us right into our discussion action items. The first is to consider a budget amendment to purchase 20 replacement vehicles. Mr. McCullough.
Thank you, President Barron. Just a real quick comment on these $1 million bars. If You know, we could end our budget problems, everybody turn theirs in, I mean, don't need it. Well, we thank the Education Foundation for their hard work. So, consider budget amendment to purchase 20 replacement vehicles. This is in the maintenance and operation area and security. And Ms. Powell, you want to make a presentation?
Absolutely. President Barron, board members, Mr. McCullough, good evening. We do want to visit with you this evening about a need we have to replace some old, very worn-out vehicles in our white fleet. We have 230 vehicles in what we call our white fleet, and these are the vehicles that are used by plant services, security, transportation, textbooks, and several other departments. And unfortunately, because of budget constraints that were imposed on us by the state school funding system, we have not been able to replace any of those vehicles in the last 4 years. And in particular, we have 20 right now that are in very poor condition we need to repair. This is a summary of those 20 vehicles by department. The 4 vehicles you see listed for transportation are actually Suburbans that we use to transport small groups of kids to various events, perhaps a golf team or a swim team, a drama group that may not need a full-size bus. We rely on these Suburbans, and we have 4 that we need to replace. In the textbook department, we have 2 box trucks with gate lifts that need to be replaced. And in the maintenance area, there are 14 vehicles, and that's a combination of pickup trucks, crew cabs, utility trucks, and a box truck even in that area, and some vans. The total estimated cost of these vehicles is $681,640. And administration is recommending that we amend the budget for the 2011-2012 fiscal year to purchase these 20 vehicles. So if the board agrees to do that, we'd increase the budget by that $681,000. And with that, I will be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Dr. Reich.
I was going to move to approve and then just move to discussion.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Reich, second by Mrs. Sullins. Discussion. Dr. Reich.
Ms. Powell, can you just briefly explain the procurement process for this as far as fleet vehicles and where we stand as far as being competitive in the market as far as fleet sales go for these vehicles?
Sure. We typically buy these vehicles off of either a state contract or the TASB buy board. Those contracts bid vehicles and use estimated quantities for entities across the state, and so the volume is significant, and we're able to get excellent pricing through them. And so we would shop those and find the one that offers the best price for the particular kind of vehicle, and there are a combination of vehicles we need in here to see which one we can get the best pricing on for that type of vehicle, and that's we would purchase it through one of those interlocal agreements.
Okay, and just the last question, what's the typical turnaround time or timeline to see this through for those vehicles to actually arrive?
Yeah, I would say it's going to vary by the type of vehicle. The box trucks may take a little longer, but I think that probably within 2 months we can acquire these vehicles.
Okay, and I guess I thought of one last question, sorry. Is there any advantage as far as timing of this procurement in certain times of year to get a better price as far as, the new models rolling off the floor, that type of thing, where the old models are brand new, but we could get a largely reduced price through that contract?
That I'm not sure of. I can tell you that with the condition of these particular vehicles, it really is impeding some of our
Sure.
operations.
Sure, I understand.
And I know Mr. Carlisle and I were talking, and he's used an example of there being, on a given day, if there are vehicles down, then we have to take the mechanic
Sure.
from that vehicle, pair them up with another one, and so basically we've cut the amount of work that's being done in half for that individual. So. So we do have a need to go ahead and procure these.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hogg. Thank you.
Ms. Powell, no, I think this is a cost of doing business. I remember pulling this out of our original, but are we planning to start adding this back into a budget each year so
I
that
think
we
this
don't have
is-
to make these amendments?
This is, that's certainly a choice that the board will make, but I think that, yes, we need to look at getting on a replacement cycle and make sure that we are keeping our white fleet serviceable and efficient.
This is one of those I consider costs of doing business. We have maintenance we have to do, and we have to move them around. So I would think if the board thinks it's the way, start building this back into future budgets from here on out. So thank you.
Mr. Hibbs?
Ms. Powell, I agree with Mr. Hogg's recommendation there. Something to point out, I think it would be important just to know this, that in the write-up to the board on this particular item, it said that there are currently 20 vehicles in poor repair that needed to be replaced. The range is from 13 to 31 years on the ones that we're replacing, and they're right at 100,000 to 200 or over 230, and that the maintenance problems on these vehicles are impeding operations. I did notice that one of the MGT report, thank you, was to increase the minimum number of mechanics that would be needed to make the repairs to this white fleet and the bus. And the district has chosen that with these, if we put these in service, that wouldn't need to be done. So that would actually be a trade-off of being of a savings to the district of about $220,000. So as Mr. Hogg said, this is a part of doing business. And then the administration is being responsible in saying that we don't need to have the addition of these additional mechanics because we don't foresee the problem of having to continuously work on these aging fleet, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think the white fleet was in the same boat as the bus fleet was when the last bond came through and we bought the buses, and at the time we did not buy
Right.
the white fleet. So
Exactly.
we're desperately trying to catch up with deferred maintenance.
Yes.
Okay. No further lights, please vote. All members present voting in the affirmative, the motion passes. Mrs. Pena is not with us tonight. Her house sustained major damage in the tornado, and our prayers are definitely with her tonight. Thank you, Mrs. Powell. Next item on the agenda is to consider appointing members of the Citizens Budget Oversight Committee. Dr. Reich.
Thank you, President Barron. Yes, the CBOC Board Liaison Committee, which is chaired by me, and also our membership is with Mrs. Pena and Mr. Hibbs. We've had the applications out for several weeks to replace 6 current CBOC members that are due to rotate off that committee. So we're looking for 6 new folks for the next 2-year term to end in May of 2014. Everybody should have a copy of the handout with the list of recommendations. I want to say thank you to the community. We had a great turnout of applications. We had 18 individuals that wanted to be on this committee. Out of those, we had to choose 6, and we added some alternates just in case, as per the committee charge, in case somebody did have to leave the committee. So without further ado, I'll just read into the record the names of the 6 individuals for the board's consideration tonight, and this is the committee's recommendation, so that I'll state in terms of a motion. The CBOC Liaison Committee, Board Committee moves to appoint the following individuals to serve on CBOC Committee for a 2-year term ending May 2014. Those individuals are Jeannie DeKine, Beth Grimes, Tony Dixon, Gloria Davis, Juan Fernandez, Robert Wright. And we also have 3 alternates, Pat Richardson, Cleet McAllister, and Walter Slavin. And once these are approved, if approved this evening, these applicants will be notified, and they will be invited to the next CBOC meeting, which is April 16th. They will not be participating in that, but they will be observing that meeting so that they can get ready to go for their first official meeting, which will be June of 2012. So that's our report, unless you have something else to add, Mr. Hibbs.
Thank you, Dr. Rush. Thank you to your committee and to the citizens for applying for the CBOC. No further lights. Please vote. All voting in the affirmative. You've got a committee again. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda. Are there any items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda? Ms. Powell. I need a motion on the consent first.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Rice, second by Ms. Hibbs. Ms. Powell.
Okay.
What? Mr. Hibbs. Ms. Powell.
All right. President Barron, board members, Mr. McCullough, there are two bids on the agenda this evening for your consideration, and in both cases, administration is recommending the lowest bids and the bids representing the best value to the district. It's my pleasure to report also that our schools have received the following donations from various individuals and organizations. The Arlington High School Orchestra Booster Club, the Arlington High School Drill Team Booster Club, Mary Pettigrew, Randy Jordan, the Bowie High School Boys Basketball Booster Club, Lowe's Charitable and Educational Foundation, the Rotary Club of North Arlington, Lamar High School Band Booster Club, Northwest Christian Church, Martin High School Choir Booster Club, Seguin High School Choir Booster Club, Bailey Junior High School PTA, Paula Munter, Bowles Junior High School Orchestra Booster Club, the Shackelford Junior High School PTA, United Methodist Women New World United Methodist Church, Beckham Elementary School PTA, the Butler Elementary School PTA, Arlington Kiwanis Foundation, the Duff Elementary School PTA, Spring Creek Barbecue, Dr. and Mrs. Barron Atkins, Dr. Karen Diaz, Creative Company, Consolidated Traffic Controls, and Don Painter Photography. The total donations presented for your consideration this evening are $49,909, and that brings the year-to-date total to $622,159.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. Thank you to our community. Any discussion on the consent? Please vote. All present voting in the affirmative, the consent passes. Next, we come to our open forum for non-agenda items. This. Oh. Oh, turn the page. Not so fast. Next item is a discussion item, MGT of America Cost Containment Update, options 4-9 through 4-14 and 5-1 through 5-4. Mr. McCullough.
Again, this is a report we're making of our board meeting about the MGT recommendations and where we are. And tonight, Mr. Walker has part of the presentation, and Mr. Harvey has part of the presentation. So, Mr. Walker.
President Barron, members of the board, Mr. McCullough. Tonight I will be presenting the transportation portion of the MGT report, starting with 4-9, and that is eliminate assigning school bus drivers to work more than 8 hours per day. And the only drivers that we assign to work more than 8 hours or 40 hours a week are drivers who will be driving program routes. These are after-school programs, community-based programs, tutoring programs. They would transport those students to their bus stops or to their homes. And this will constitute about 19 drivers that we'll use on a weekly basis. and they would accumulate no more than 1 to 5 hours of overtime each week. Review the routing process to ensure the full utilization of the EdgeLog software to create new bus routes based on student resident data. And our transportation staff received training this past summer on the effective ways to use the EdgeLog software system. And as a result of that training, we were able to eliminate 10 routes. Review the paid transportation program to determine if school bus routes could be eliminated based on the assigned student rather than the number of paid students. And we did have 2 paid bus routes that we had created, and those routes were eliminated. So we were able to eliminate 2 out of the 10 routes that were designated for paid bus students. Increase the minimum number of mechanics needed to provide necessary repairs to the school bus fleet, white fleet, and assorted equipment. And that's what we discussed earlier, that we decided this time that we're not going to eliminate, we're not going to add any more mechanics. Eliminate a spare bus, school bus from the AISD fleet. And we decided that we would not eliminate any spare buses. We do have 22 spare buses, but we do have coaches who are driving the buses now. And as you know, we eliminated 36 bus drivers. Some of our coaches would drive the bus. They will have games that activities will start about 3:30, 4 o'clock. And that's during a time when our buses, drivers are running regular routes. So we decided this time we wouldn't eliminate any of our spare buses. Purchase a vehicle maintenance identification or information system to assist the management of the fleet vehicle maintenance function. And MGT recommended that we would purchase one for $45,000, but we were able to find one for $24,500. This is the end of my report. Ready for questions.
Dr. Rice.
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm on 4-10 with the EdgeLog software, you said 10 routes were eliminated. Does that equate to these dollar amounts that are shown then? Is that what we're saving?
And that's a good question. We talked about that and looking at, we based the routes on about 10,000 miles a year and 88 cents a mile. So we probably have some more dollars in there that we haven't included, which would be $88,000.
Oh, that's great news. That's great news. Thank you.
Mr. Hibbs. Okay. Mr. Pompa.
Thank you, President Barron. Just a quick question on the 410. Said that you eliminated 10 routes. Does the software help you make the routes that we do have more efficient?
Yes, it does.
So you're utilizing it for that. Have you found that your mileage per route has decreased?
And that's something that we're studying in our monthly report, and we'll have a better knowledge of that at the end of the year, how much. But we do feel that eliminate the 36 drivers and the 10 routes that it will decrease, but we just haven't put a pencil to it this time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that also each route that we do have is
Right.
the most efficient route, that the drivers are taking the
Yes.
shortest route every time, not just one that they're familiar with.
Right, and we did have a representative from EdgeLog who was here over the summer who did the training as well as looked at our routing process, and he said that we were operating efficiently.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Sullins?
Thank you, President Barron. Mr. Walker, when we reduced the routes, that reduced the number of paid seats available for students who wanted to take an opportunity to ride the bus for a fee?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so do we know how much revenue we were receiving annually from students before?
I think that's in there. Colleagues, go ahead.
We do. I mean,
Okay.
I believe in some of our reports we've been providing to the Board on Transportation that we have that monthly
Yeah.
fee, but we will have an end of the year report on that too,
Okay.
exactly how much we bring in.
That'd be fine.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Thank you. Now, is there a second part of this? Mr. Harvey.
remaining 4 items that we're going to look at tonight are from Section 5, which was the technology section. The first item there was to eliminate 3 secretarial positions that currently exist in the technology division as a part of the cost reductions. Last year we achieved that. We eliminated a secretary for instructional technology, networking services, and information systems. Number 2 was to eliminate a help desk specialist position and a mainframe operator. Again, as a part of the reductions last year, we achieved both of those. We actually had a retirement in the help desk, and so that position was eliminated, and the existing help desk specialist and a secretary picked up that work. And for the mainframe operator, we were able to eliminate 1 position through a resignation, and we didn't need to refill it because we actually cut back from our second shift. Once we moved over to the team system, there was no need for us to run a second shift to do backups, because backups could be done live during the day, really. And so we didn't need to have that second shift, and we're able to eliminate 1 position. Number 3 is to establish a schedule for phasing out the AS400. We have established that schedule to phase out the production work that's on there. We've actually been working on that for many years. We first moved our HR and position inventory off, then we moved our student system off, then we moved our finance system off, and this year we've moved our payroll system off. So all of the major systems have moved off. There are still a few minor systems that continue to operate on there, such as our work order system, vehicle maintenance, fixed assets, some of our transportation time and attendance, and warehouse. All of those are scheduled to be replaced either by a Teams component or something in the EdgeLog system for those things in transportation. We believe that all of those will be done by the completion of the next school year, 12-13. However, at that time, we really will not be able to eliminate the actual AS400 box because it does have the past years of data on it, and we still have a need to be able to go back and utilize that data. We'll be able to cut back on our maintenance. We won't have to have the high maintenance costs that we have currently, but the data in the box itself will continue to be used because it is very specific to the software that runs on the AS400. And so we will continue to have that for several years to come until we're able to eliminate that data through our retention process that we have in the district. And then number 4 was to provide immediate training in the use of Teams query tool, in particular for the finance department staff. That training was provided immediately after that recommendation came out from MGT. The query tool allows users who have access to run queries against the team data to extract data that they can then use in an Excel spreadsheet or in other reporting software. We continue to offer classes in query for all of the staff that utilize that tool. We generally have about 2 sessions per month that our instructional technology department provides. So that's the 4 that we have tonight on technology.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Are those updated savings numbers that are on the slide now?
Under the 2011-2012, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Board members with questions? What's your forecast on keeping the AS400 then for 5 years, 3 years?
7 years is how long we keep, we believe, the finance data. So this is the first year that payroll has not been on it, so we would expect to probably see it for about 7 more years.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harvey. That brings us to our open forum for non-agenda items. This second open forum segment of the meeting provides citizens with an opportunity to address the trustees on any subject except personnel. This is not intended to be a discussion or debate, and trustees will not reply to the speakers. Derogatory comments aimed at an individual will not be tolerated. I have 2 cards from the audience. When your name is called, please step to the podium. You will have 5 minutes to speak. A lighted timer on the podium will assist you in pacing your presentation. A yellow light will illuminate when there is 1 minute left for you to complete your presentation. When the red light comes on and the buzzer sounds, please end your presentation. First speaker tonight is Mr. Dave McElwee. representing TARG. His subject is registration to vote. The deadline, April,
12th.
I knew that.
Yeah, so there's just two items that I want, the other one I didn't get a chance to fill it out in the card. First is voter registration's up April the 12th for the city and the school district elections, constable, and I think there's one or two others. The second item, I want to remind folks about it, something has been changed. TARG is going to have a presentation over at the Lake Arlington branch of the library on the drunk driving epidemic. We're at that time of the year when we see a lot of this. So Mothers Against Drunk Driving, along with the DUI, the APD's DUI force, are going to come and speak at the Lake Arlington Branch Library, 6:30 p.m. on April the 19th. It's a Thursday evening at the Branch Library. It was going to be at the downtown library, but they've changed things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McElwain. Our second speaker this evening is Deborah Lott, representing MCC and LULAC. Her subject is relationship with teachers and principal. Good evening, Ms. Lott.
Good evening, Superintendent McCullum and members of the board. My name is Deborah Lott, and I'm president of the Mid-Cities Community Council and Deputy District Director for LULAC. Based on my experience in the community and dialogues with educators, it now reflects the perception of disparity of treatment towards teachers in general here in AISD. I have received numerous complaints from teachers about poor evaluations from principals, but they're not all willing to bring their complaints to the administration due to fear of retaliation from their principal. The principal can overdo it by excessively assisting the teacher, which eventually becomes harassment. The teacher then begins concentrating more on how to defend themselves and ways to get out of focus. It takes them out of focusing their teaching for the students. Then it gets problematic because the students may not get the instructions needed in school. All this can happen when the board knows about it and allows it to happen. Many complaints come in to deaf ears just like bullying. Now, I have come before you in hopes that for the benefit of our students and teachers, that this matter will quickly be resolved, and we are willing to help and assist you in any way that we may. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lott. That brings us to Superintendent's report. Mr. McCullough.
Thank you, Mr. Barron, and got some good news to share tonight. And the first one I'm going to share is a young man sitting at the back, Mr. Mark Murray. And Technology System Coordinator Mark Murray received the Joseph M. Murphy Award from the Columbia Scholastic Press Association over spring break. And the award recognizes outstanding service to CSPA over many years and is intended as the ultimate distinction offered by the service by a person. And so congratulations, Mark. And
I'd like to make a note. Look how scholarly you look in that photo.
I actually pointed out to Leslie that I was not real happy about you all seeing that photo because you might have the expectation that at some point you'd see me in a coat and tie again, and there's your picture. So, but thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mark, we appreciate you dearly. You've been my friend for a long time, and you are a great photographer, and we absolutely love what you do for the district. So thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Mark, you've been going up to Columbia for many years to do training. How many years?
I think we figured 10 years.
10 years, okay, very good. So congratulations. Yesterday, we got to, the Kiwanis Club of Arlington recognized the AISD Teachers of the Year at their annual luncheon. And they awarded the Kiwanis Woodrow County Teacher of the Year awards to Tricia Regalado. Okay, I got that from Martin High School, who's a journalism teacher. Jennifer Cummings from Bailey Junior High, and Jennifer teaches science. 8th grade science, thank you. And then Heather Bush is a 1st grade teacher from Sherrod Elementary. They all three gave outstanding speeches yesterday at the Kiwanis Club. And then Tuesday of this week, the district is going to recognize the 74 Teachers of the Year at our annual banquet at the PDC. So looking forward to that. So now this has been talked about a little bit about tonight, but I just want to take a moment to thank all our teachers and our staff and administrators for how they handled the difficult weather situation this week. And everyone pulled together and helped students and parents stay safe and remain calm. And while we were very lucky and very blessed that none of our schools sustained any damage, many of our families cannot say the same. And our campuses are rallying around those families to provide items they may need and assist with the cleanup. But I do think we were very blessed that none of our schools had any serious damage, but also we didn't have any injuries to our students. So anyway, that's my report for the night.
Thank you, Mr. McCullough. Board members with reports? Dr. Reich.
Thank you, President Barron. I wanted to echo a couple of things that our superintendent stated. Yesterday, the Teacher of the Year speeches, they were absolutely fabulous. I wish we had those recorded. We can get the words on paper from them, but their inflections, the way they spoke, it's shining examples of amazing teachers that we have in this district. It was really, really enjoyable. And then also, in regards to this natural disaster that we've all experienced, I just want to publicly thank you, Mr. McCullough, and the district. There has been 0 negative comments received, at least from this trustee, on how everything has been handled on that day by our teachers, by our campus administrators, and by our students. And it was a very scary day for a lot of people in this city. And it went off without a hitch as far as in our school system. And thankfully no schools were damaged or hit directly. So I just really appreciate that and say prayers for all those families that are affected. The only other thing that I wanted to mention was, even though it's been a while since we've formally met up here, we've all been very busy going through different trainings and working on our strategic plan, and that is something that we'll be able to release out very, very soon. We're getting close. I'm just excited about that, and I won't go into that any further in case our strategic plan chair has anything to say about it, but just really excited. Last week we had 2 full days dedicated to it, and then a few other of us traveled to Houston for some training, and we're putting in a lot of time doing everything we can to keep this district moving in the right direction. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Hawk.
Thank you, President Barron. Dr. Reich, nothing more needs to be said. That was wonderful what you said about the strategic plan. I think we're all excited about seeing it come out. So we have put in a lot of work, and thank you to you and all the rest of the board for all the work we've done. President Barron, as the chair of the audit committee, I want to make a quick report over our audit meeting that our subcommittee, consisting of Ms. Solons and Mr. Hibbs and myself, met with our auditor, internal auditor, Mr. Edwards, who is doing an outstanding job with our audit. And you know, this is the one department where it can save us a lot of money in this district by reducing fraud, waste, and abuse. And no matter what we do at any time, there's always going to be some in a district this size, fraud, waste, and abuse. And our job is risk management of how do we reduce that. And I have to thank Mr. Edwards for all the work we've done through all the activity reports, activity fund reviews, internal investigations. Mr. Edwards and his staff have a very, very full plate. Some of the things that we do have coming up besides the normal audits of individual schools, we have seen actually a decrease in the amount of fraud, waste, and abuse reports we've gotten this year. And we think some of that is from, we put a very active campaign together in this last year promoting fraud, waste, and abuse. And one of the reasons of putting that active campaign together is so that people can report it, but what it also does, it makes other people aware that everything can be reported to fraud, waste, and abuse hotlines. So there's two ways to look at it. You should receive more, and then there's also the other way to look at it of we're receiving less because we are actively letting everyone know that anything can be reported anonymously. And if I think you walk in any school, as Ms. Solon says, no matter what school she walks into, that just all of a sudden seems to pop up. There are many things that come in to Mr. Edwards that aren't related, but we look at every single one. Every single one is reviewed no matter what, and anyone inside can report anonymously, and Mr. Edwards does take a look into that. We also, two pieces we've been working on, we will have an RFP coming out looking for outsourcing our payroll audit and outsourcing our payroll audit and construction audit, which we think are critical factors coming up. And then we also, a piece that we think will be essential is all of our secretaries and bookkeepers will be going through a training, a webinar training, to adhere to all of our standards, the very high standards that Mr. Edwards and the audit departments put into place. So it has been an outstanding effort, and I can't thank Mr. Edwards enough for leading our audit committee. He's doing a wonderful job on leading this. The last piece I have to say is just put out some news to folks from the Lamar community, especially the Mayer family. Sharon Mayer, a retired assistant principal at Lamar, was her husband was killed and she was injured very seriously in a car wreck last week. And so I just ask everyone to keep them in their thoughts and prayers. It's really been a pretty hard impact on that North Arlington community on there. So I have to say that. And then this weekend, Mr. McCullough and I had the pleasure of attending the Entrepreneur Expo with some of the students. It's put on, our Martin High School work program kind of puts it together, organizes it, but all of our schools, 3rd through 6th grade, participated. And we had over 1,300 students that submitted entries. And these are students that are coming up with new ideas for new businesses. And some of these businesses, you'll be amazed, not that bad of an idea. I keep asking when we're going to start patenting the things that coming out there, and we can start making money. But Mr. McCullough and I both attended, along with many of our state reps and county commissioners, and it was a great event and just shows how innovative our 3rd through 6th graders are. And anyone who thinks a 3rd grader can't come up with a good idea, I encourage you to just look at some of their ideas they come up with. 3rd grade's, it's the #1 indicator of success for high school if they read on level at 3rd grade. So the more we can push our 3rd graders, the even better they're doing. So I thank Mr. McCullough, and I thank all of everyone in our district that worked really hard on putting that program together, and our sponsors. The Chamber of Commerce was a huge, they put a lot of work into that event also with our district, and it gets our students thinking about life after school, which is what we're all trying to teach them for. Thank you.
We've had quite a few inquiries from folks wanting to contribute to help disaster relief, and what we're suggesting is that you contribute to your local school, and that way the funds or gift cards or whatever you donate will be used locally to help the employees who are affected and the students who are affected by the tornadoes. Is that right?
Across the district, we had different teachers, employees that were affected, and each school is trying to provide relief for those families. So go through your local school.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Mr. Secretary, do we have any items to consider?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm checking with your backup over here. In that case, it's 8:12. We are adjourned, and we will not be going into closed session.